Hi everybody, this is the course overview for Nursing 320 and I'm Dr. Sheila Mady and I have two sections of 320 and then we have Dr. Kenyon with us. Hi Amelia.
Hi. Hi, Dr. Mady. This is Dr. Kenyon. I also have one section of 320, and I'm excited to be working with all of you during this term.
Great. So what we'll do is we will just go through real quick just kind of the logistics of your Canvas page, and then we'll dive into each module assignment. There's 3 of them due with this course. So I'm sharing my screen. So if you see first on home, you will get the most recent announcements up on top, and then you will have your syllabi down here. And the syllabus is where we have our office hours. Dr. Kenyon and myself each have our office hours on our syllabus. So make sure if you need us for any reason to go there. And I have my cell number down. I'm open to texting if you need anything. If by chance you text me and I don't answer, that just means I'm away. But I will get back to you as soon as I can. How about you, Dr. Kenyon?
Yes, I also allow texting as well. My cell phone number is listed as well. I do ask that no texts come after 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, because that's 9 p.m. my time, and that's usually about the time that I try to head to bed. So,
Yep.
But other than that, I'm very open.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So then next over on the left-hand side, if you click on announcements, I'm hoping each of you look at your announcements. This is a very important area. This is where we introduce you to each week's happenings. And then of course, this is where we have any big announcements happening. So like the conference today. And then any new things with policies or the handbook, this is where you can find those important section. So I hope that you do look at your announcements. Next would be, we don't usually use, I don't use chat. Do you, Dr. Kenyon?
No, I do not.
Yeah, I've never utilized chat before. So, and I know that would probably be for like online office hours, but next would be conferences. And this is where if we have a big blue button conference, this is where you can find that information. Next would be your discussions. So this is where your discussions are found. And then if we dive into modules, now here is where there's some helpful student videos on Canvas, course tools. So this area here, questions to the instructor, of course, is just for you to ask questions, an overall question. Individual questions, it's always good to email us or text us, but course questions, please feel free to utilize this venue because you may not be the only one with that question. Next would be the APA template sample and training PowerPoint. Now, I urge students to utilize the APA template when you're writing a paper. The formatting is done for you. You can download the template and just utilize that template to type in. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. The margins are done for you. The page numbers there, you just have to change the running head and type in your paper. So I would highly recommend that you utilize the APA template and then also look at an APA sample paper. So your paper should look exactly the same as the formatted sample. Next, here are your modules. So you'll see they're all organized with the checklist, reading, the lecture, and then the discussion. So this week, we have an assignment due. This is your examination of organizational structure. So I'm just going to dive into this. You can see here where it's worth 200 points or 20% of your grade. You will have the course objectives, which tie into the program outcomes, and then you will have the instructions. I urge you to read those instructions carefully ahead of time, and if you have any questions, please reach out so we can answer those for you. Next would be your grading rubric. So the biggest thing here is make sure you look at your grading rubric and know what is expected of you. So there's quite a few things that have to happen on this specific paper. And so First off, it needs to be 3 to 5 pages in length. Now, this does not include your title page or your reference page. Okay. And make sure if a question is two-part, just like number 1 and number 3, or number 2 and 3, I have 2 parts. Number 4 has 2 parts. Number 7 has 2 parts. So make sure that you answer each part of a question. Now, regarding the Module 2 paper, I have an example that I'll just pull up real quick, and hopefully you can see that okay. Can you see that okay, Dr. Kenyon?
I sure can. It's coming through perfectly.
Okay. Whoa, look at that. Wow. So this one is just an example of an organizational structure which they did on their OBGYN clinics. And so here you can see where they have level 1 headings, which each of the level headings are taken from the grading rubric. This is a great habit to get into when you're writing a paper. Whatever you're going to be graded on should have a level 1 heading, which are centered in upper and lowercase letters and bolded. So here you have your introduction, and then the focus, mission, strategic plan, and then the structure, chart, and flow of communication. So if you look through this example or if you look at what is required of you on the grading rubric as I talk about this example, you can see where each area of that grading rubric has a level 1 heading. So you don't forget to talk about it, and then it helps the person who's going to give you feedback on your paper find out exactly where that information is located. Okay. You see some in-text citations here. That's a good example there. And then here's your reference list. So if you would like, I can send you a copy of a well-done Module 2 assignment, and then that way you'll have an idea of how to format yours as well. Any questions, Dr. Kenyon, by chance?
I have none. I just agree with what you said. I especially encourage when they're writing the papers to follow the rubric and definitely use that as headers, because it really helps to bring attention that you have addressed that area and that you did discuss it in your paper.
Great, great. All right. So the other thing I want to discuss would be, when we have our weekly discussions, so this week we are talking about looking at an organizational structure and then also discussing nursing care delivery patterns. Now, this information, you can use your lecture. There's a lot of great information within your lecture this week. And then you have done a tremendous job in researching and discussing this organizational structure, and then also discussing the nursing care delivery pattern. So bring that information forward into your paper. Don't reinvent the wheel. We've asked you to discuss it. Go ahead and use that information. There's a reason why we're linking this assignment to this week's discussions. So I hope that makes sense. So utilize the weekly discussions and then utilize the weekly lectures to help you with your projects. Okay. And then Module 4, so let's just go back to modules. We have an assignment due in week 4. So we go down here, week 4. We have Exploring National Healthcare Quality Initiatives assignment. Again, we're 200 points or 20%. Here's your course objectives, which are linked to your program outcomes. Now this is quite lengthy, and so go ahead. Here's your instructions again. 3 to 5 pages in length. Does not include title or reference page. Minimum of 2 current scholarly resources. And then here's your grading rubric. So we've got, in the introduction, it looks like we've got 3 parts to that. So when you talk about your introduction, make sure that you identify each one of these areas. And so let me bring up an example. that I have. Can you see it okay, Dr. Kenyon? Oh my goodness, that's
Yes, I
probably
see it
too
just
big.
fine.
Okay. So here again, you can tell that the student is using the template because the numbers are grayed. And so I would just ask, please use the template. It's done for you. And that way you can really focus on the content of the paper. So here again is your level 1 heading, which is introduction. And then they talk about the mission and goals, population of focus. Now here's your plan, do, study, act cycle. This is a large part of your paper. And if I remember right, let's look at that. I think it's worth 80 points of your paper. So make sure that you really dive into each one of those areas. The plan, do, study, act cycle can be found within your readings. And then, reach out and branch out and do a little bit of research on the plan, do, study, act cycle. There's a lot of literature out there that will help you define each one of these sections. So under the plan, there are 4 areas, so make sure that you capture each one of those areas. And then the same with each of the other areas. So if I could bring that back up. So you can tell that this comprises most of the paper. So make sure that you really have a good discussion under this area here. And then of course your summary and then your reference page. Okay, all this has to be in APA format. Okay. Any questions with the Healthcare Quality Initiative paper? Okay. Next, if we click into our modules again. Now, what I can tell you about week 4, module 4, discussion 2. Let's go there. We have you discuss a healthcare quality initiative. And so I know my page might look different than yours, but I will go here to discussion 2. Here is the link that we're asking you to discuss in your discussion. So once you find a quality initiative that you're going to discuss in module 4, discussion 2, bring that forward into your paper. You've done great research. You've got some great peer feedback. Go ahead and utilize that information to present a well-done product. So if you click here, it'll bring you to this page. And then we're asking you to scroll down until you find Quality Initiatives Patient Assessment Instruments. Any of these you can discuss. You click on them, it has a great amount of information. So it's right here for you. You just have to choose whatever you're passionate about or whatever you want to gain more information on. Okay. And again, that can be found within your lecture as well, module 4 lecture, and then as we get into our discussions. Okay. So let's dive into module 7. That would be our next assignment. Oh, forget the end of course survey. Make sure that you complete the end of course survey. It has to be done before you get access to module 8. So we'll give you a link somewhere between week 6 and 7, but make sure that you submit it or complete it before week 8. Otherwise you won't be able to have access to week 8. So module 7, this is a PowerPoint presentation. And so when you, it's worth 225 points or 22.5% of your overall grade. Here again are the course outcomes, the program outcomes, and then here are the instructions. So I know at first it might seem overwhelming, but if you can look at each major assignment and write down any questions you have, and then reach out to Dr. Kenyon and myself, we can answer those so you're not fretting, towards the end of the week when you're trying to complete this assignment. Okay. So make sure again you read all the instructions, make sure that you capture everything that we're asking you to discuss within your PowerPoint. Presentation is to be 5 to 7 slides in length. This does not include your title or reference page. Can it be more than that? Sure. I think the most I've ever had is 10. Now, there's a reason why we ask you to limit, because we want that information real concise. And so if you're like at 20 slides, really look at what you have written and summarize or make that more concise. Down below is how to create a PowerPoint presentation. Now we are asking you to add speaker notes, okay? This is where we're hoping to give you guys an idea or a experience with how to capture PowerPoints if you are actually presenting a PowerPoint. And so you've got your key points on your PowerPoint, but then underneath are your speaker notes. So that's what you would utilize to help you fulfill those gaps within your PowerPoint, because we don't want to put everything on the slide, because your audience, they can read your slide, and if all you're doing is reading off your slides, that's not really professional. And so the speaker notes are very, very important, and we ask you to add those. A lot of times the speaker notes are where you guys will capture your references, your citation of your references. As I move through here, that you can see the highlighted or the bolded areas. Each one of these talks about speaker notes. So don't get overwhelmed. Just read through them, and then reach out if you have any questions. So here again is your grading rubric. So if we were to bring up an example, which I have 2 different examples. So let me make this, okay. So this would be on a PowerPoint of the Quality Improvement Initiative is an obstetric hemorrhage. And so we're asking you to look at the place that you do clinicals or your hospital or your work, and what initiative have they worked on? Are they currently working on? Did they just finish, or are they anticipating starting this initiative? Sometimes students reach out and say, well, I don't have clinicals, I don't work within a hospital. Think about where you work and what you're doing. There's always some type of quality improvement project that they're working on. It might entail you asking your manager, sitting down and talking to your manager about that information. It might not just be knowledge that you have, which is fine, but reach out and use your resources wisely. So this student here talked about the California Maternal Quality Care Collaborative, and then you can see underneath here are her speaker notes. And so the main points are on the slide, and then the speaker notes are here. Now she did do some in-text citations within the PowerPoint. Make sure they are APA formatted. And then also they brought their citations down in their speaker notes. And then here would be your background. So each slide is part of the grading rubric, just like you would have your level 1 heading. Make each slide that level 1 heading, and then talk about everything you're supposed to talk about within that slide. There's your research and analysis, methods, resources, and performance targets. Now this is information that it should be available to you if it's a quality improvement initiative. There again, you might have to visit with your nurse manager, or visit with your manager, or visit with somebody that would be a good resource for you. And then the SWOT analysis. Now I can tell you from experience, students will forget this area, but make sure that you talk about it, because it is worth some points. So if we don't see a SWOT analysis, that's where we talk about strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You will get points taken off for that. Next would be your main results of your study, and then again your results. Conclusion. Now within that conclusion area, one of the main things is, of course, to summarize everything, but then down here to add which of the 6 IOM aims is specific to this quality improvement project. So you can see here the IOM aim of safety and time. Okay, so make sure that you add that to your conclusion. And then lastly would be your references. Make sure that your references are in APA format. Even though this is a PowerPoint, the APA is still important within a PowerPoint. Okay. So I hope you saw underneath here where the speaker notes are. Another example that a student provided was their place of employment, which was the Utah Air National Guard, which is great. And so here again, they have their speaker notes down here. They've captured every area of the grading rubric with each of their slides. Here we go. Here's our SWOT analysis, okay, with speaker notes with each one, and then the results. Conclusion, IOM aim right here, healthcare must be effective, okay, and then conclusion, and then references, okay. So those are 2 examples that I've had turned in. All right, any questions, Dr. Kenyon? Let's see if anybody else is here with us yet. Just you and
I have none. You were very thorough.
Okay. All right. So to wrap up, just make sure that you look at your announcements. Make sure that you check your emails every day. Make sure that you read our feedback, that we spend a lot of time giving you feedback on your assignments, and then within your discussion grading rubrics, make sure that you can find our feedback. If you cannot find feedback, if you want to click on your Pages tab to your left, and then of course here is how you get into the library. Here is where you have your catalog. Here is where you have some APA writing help. So you're not alone out there. There's a lot of great resources that we provide to you. Okay. What was I going to look into? Do you remember, Amelia?
I'm not sure. I knew that you were going to review the resources, but that was what I heard last.
Yep, I think. So here's where if you're having technical support, this is who to contact. And I know it happens once in a while, but instructors, it's really hard for us to get into the back side of this. And so that's why we ask you to contact technical support this way. Now your library resources here is where we have an approved list of scholarly resources so that you can use within your discussions or within your papers. Approved, and then of course not approved. So make sure that you, when you're utilizing online resources, that they are scholarly. Okay.
And Dr. Mady, if I may,
Yes.
Websites such as the NIH and other websites, please make sure that you're appropriately citing those. Just citing the website that you obtained it from is not correct if it's actually a journal article or a peer review article or something to that effect. You need to fully cite that out as it's supposed to be. And I just wanted to reiterate that.
Perfect, because and we do see where underneath references, it'll just have the web page, and that is not APA formatted correctly. So thank you for Dr. Kenyon for discussing that. Next would be, if you need a refresher on how to get into the LIRN, and I know sometimes it's overwhelming or intimidating, but it's super, super easy. You apply certain filters and you can get the information that you need without scrolling through thousands of researchable articles. So this one here under library resources is a great area there. Okay. How to access Office 365 to help you with your PowerPoints. Here is a quick how-to on how to do that. That's provided for you. Most of you probably should already have downloaded that. Okay. Student services resources, I think that's it. So just make sure that you know how to navigate your course. Again, look at your announcements, look at your emails, look at how to find the feedback. Oh, that's what I was going to get into. Let me see. Canvas feedback, how to view your instructor feedback. So if you click on there, that'll give you a great tutorial on how to view our feedback, because we want you to read it and we want you to integrate it so you can know how well you did, and then beef up those areas that might need to be beefed up. Okay, and that would be again under your student resource or Canvas help, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think we'll wrap it up. I appreciate Dr. Kenyon being here. So again, we will provide a link to the recording. And then those of you who would like an example of Module 2, Module 4, or Module 7 assignments, please feel free to reach out to Dr. Kenyon and myself, and we can get you those. Once you listen to the recording, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here for your success. We're very open, we're very flexible. So I will leave the closing to Dr. Kenyon.
I just wanted to agree with Dr. Mady and say thank you all for watching this. And if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you.
Perfect.